To call the member for Macarthur.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. It is with great sadness that I rise tonight to support the Father of the House, the Member for Barawa, the Honourable Philip Ruddock, and his motion to celebrate the life of the late Most Venerable Thich Phuoc Hue, Phuc Hue, OM, who passed away on the 28th of January 2012. His passing represents a great loss, not just to the Vietnamese Buddhist community, but to the Australian nation as a whole. The Most Venerable Thich Phuoc Hue's legacy will live on through his many achievements. He will be warmly remembered by the Vietnamese community as one of the pioneers of Vietnamese Buddhism in Australia. The Most Venerable had a long and distinguished career as an educator and spiritual leader, both here in Australia and in his homeland, Vietnam. In Vietnam, he was a highly respected Buddhist leader, holding many important positions, including Director of Studies at the Buddhist Studies Institute and Secretary of the Southern Vietnam Delegation to the National Conference of Vietnamese Sangha. The Most Venerable also held influential positions within the Unified Buddhist Church of Vietnam, including Commissioner for Sangha Affairs. The UBCV was later banned by the Vietnamese communist government. After leaving communist rule in Vietnam, the Most Venerable spent many years in a refugee camp in Hong Kong. He did not let his surroundings hinder his passion for education and faith. By 1980, his migration to Australia was sponsored by a group of Vietnamese Australian Buddhists. He became the first resident Vietnamese Buddhist monk in Australia. Our nation owes a debt of gratitude to this group. Few would have imagined the great work that the Most Venerable would achieve in his lifetime. In Australia, the Most Venerable transformed the Vietnamese Buddhist community, uniting them with a common vision of rebuilding Vietnamese Buddhism in Australia and promoting peace and social harmony. Before his prestigious career in Australia, one of the nation's influential Buddhist leaders, the Most Venerable faced many trials and tribulations, meeting each one with keen and determined mind and a positive heart. It is a lesson that our communities benefit from, and a lesson that I hope we will never forget. We should all follow the example set by the Most Venerable and see each challenge before us as an opportunity to learn, develop our spirit and mind, and an opportunity to reach out to those around us. The late Most Venerable Thich Phuoc Hue had a profound impact on the Buddhist communities in Western Sydney and indeed across Australia. He was a strong advocate for peace, social harmony and inclusiveness, and was a spiritual leader of the Phuc Hue Buddhist Monastery in Wetherill Park, which also bears his namesake. The Most Venerable was a driving force behind this beautiful temple, which was completed in 1991. He had a strong vision to rebuild Vietnamese Buddhism in Australia, not just for the benefit of the Vietnamese community, but to contribute to multiculturalism in Australia. The spread of Buddhism has also touched my electorate of Macarthur, with a much-visited Da Bao Monastery in Wedderburn, just south of Campbelltown. This monastery provides the Buddhist community in Macarthur with a beautiful place of worship and meditation, and hosts a number of festivities and celebrations throughout the year. The Most Venerable's vision of rebuilding was not just limited to the many beautiful temples and monasteries we see across our electorates today. He was also firmly committed to rebuilding the lives of the many Vietnamese refugees who came to Australia seeking refuge from the war that ravaged their homeland. He helped them make a life for themselves and helped to rebuild the Vietnamese community into what it is today, a respected, peaceful, productive and vibrant part of the Australian social fabric. As the first president of the United Vietnamese Buddhist Congregation in Australia and the New Zealand UVBC, the Most Honourable had a long and enviable list of accomplishments both in Australia and internationally. Some of these include His Royal Highness Prince Charles, who selected the Phuc Hue Monastery as a neutral place to hold discussions with Australia's religious leaders from Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu and Buddhist faiths in 1994. In 1995, the Most Venerable Thich Phuoc Hue was awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia in recognition of his contribution to the Vietnamese Buddhist community. On an international scale, the Most Venerable was a high-ranking member and elder of the World Buddhist Sangha Council. In 2001, he also led the organising committee for the first executive conference of the 7th World Buddhist Sangha Council and Congress, as well as the 3rd World General Conference of the World Buddhist Sangha Council Youth Committee in Sydney. The Most Venerable was also a strong advocate for international peace and cooperation in his capacity as President of the Buddhist Federation of Australia. He addressed the first international dialogue on interfaith cooperation in 2004 with a strong message of peace and cooperation between nations and people of different faiths. Mr Deputy Speaker, the Most Venerable Thich Phuoc Hue OAM was a humble and honourable man. He achieved many great works in his lifetime and touched hundreds and thousands of lives. While the Most Venerable is no longer with us, his memory and his legacy will burn brightly for generations to come, and it certainly is an honour and a privilege to be here with the Father of the House to celebrate his life today.